It's become apparent that I should have explained more about how to play Liberal Crime Squad. My primary viewership during the first series was people who were familiar with LCS, so with this series, when I have a whole lot more viewers, I didn't even think of doing anything. However, as there have been repeated questions in comments and in personal messages, I reckon I'll go ahead and address what I can. This will be another tutorial video. If you already know what the hell we're doing here, or you don't care, then feel free to skip ahead. If you want to correct something I got wrong or cover something I missed, though, then chime in the comments. Now let's review the character sheet. There's 7 attributes in this game. You'll see that I put my lightsaber away for this. I needed to recharge its batteries. They all play a role in how your character functions. They weigh in on most of the various checks that happen in the game. And generally, the higher they are, the better. Liberal Crime Squad operates on a whole dice rolling system in the background. So, yeah, these things play a role in being added to the various checks that occur. Yeah, so generally the higher they are, the better. Most of these also govern your skills. For example, Pariah can't have a disguise skill higher than 13 because his charisma is only 13, and that's the highest it's going to go. Juice is 1000, that he's achieved his maximum rank, he's elite liberal, he goes no higher than this. So, charisma, 13. I think as he gets older, that can go up. But, yeah, that's the best we're going to see out of him. Whereas, say, Sean here, his disguise skill is 20. You'll notice that, it does say a maximum of 21, but there's a maximum skill cap in Liberal Crime Squad of 20, I presume, to prevent your liberals from being too good at something, so you at least have a small chance of failure. That used to be the case with attributes as well, but a recent change, relatively recent, considering Liberal Crime Squad's history and how long it's been since 4.04 has been released, a recent change was made to eliminate the attribute cap. I can't speak for all the reasons why this was done. I don't have direct connections with the folks who edit this in open source, the primary editors, and I don't contribute a whole lot on the Bay 12 Games Curses subforum, but I do know I did protest this a bit whenever it was suggested in my typical I'm a fucking douchebag manner. Surprisingly enough, people don't much care about what I think whenever I argue in that manner. Who knew? Having super high attributes does make a difference, especially because you'll never encounter a conservative with these kinds of attributes. None. These super mutants are just that. Super mutants. The most capable, the most competent conservatives we'll face in this game won't have these kinds of attributes. And they won't have the kinds of skill levels that you'll see either. Some are better than others. For example, soldiers are pretty good at shooting their rifles, and you gotta watch over eminent scientists and folks like that, but your liberals are just fucking awesome. I don't know if that was an intentional game design, the fact that liberals are always supposed to be better than conservatives, you got me. But it does contribute to why I think the game is so easy. When your characters become as all-powerful as these 6 have the potential to be, there's not anyone gifted enough to stand in their way. That's not to say that they can't die, of course. Oh yeah, they could die. I could have a complete and total party wipe. Make no mistake. Regardless of whether, say, soldiers don't have the kind of potential that these characters do, M16s still fucking hurt. True story. Now let's review each attribute. Intelligence covers your smarts. It weighs in heavily, and for example, whenever you're trying to have a conversation with someone, the effectiveness of your talking points is determined partly by your character's intelligence. I think it's if your character has an intelligence lower than 4 or 3, where, your words... No, they don't exist. They are incoherent babble, and the person you're talking to is like, right. Agility covers quickness and reflexes. If you want to escape from someone in a foot race, for example, make sure you have high agility. Charisma covers both physical beauty, social prowess, and strength. That only governs a few skills, and of those 4 that I just listed, I think it's the least useful. If there's a dumb stat I really have in this game, in Liberal Crime Squad, it's strength. Just, Now, health Health doesn't govern any skills, but it does determine your longevity. You can consider it the Liberal Crime Squad version of hit points or wounds. The more you have, the less likely you are to die. Also, after your character reaches 60 years of age, the game will roll checks every year to see whether your character loses a point of health. And obviously, once your character reaches 0 health, he's dead. Heart, while governing a few skills, is, you would say, the most important attribute for a liberal, because it determines how devoted you are to the liberal cause. The higher your heart, the more entrenched you are in liberal beliefs, and the more dedicated and gung-ho you are to fucking kill those conservative bastards. The liberal dogma, the liberal agenda. Its diametric opposite is wisdom, on which all conservatives rely. Wisdom doesn't govern any skills in 4.04. It used to play into a role in determining like some math. It was like added with, I think, intelligence to determine your business skill cap. But in 4.04, it does it. The most dangerous conservatives will have super high wisdom. Among other nefarious conservative abilities, they can use this to detect you whenever you're on site and you're trying to remain hidden. That's why running into eminent scientists, news anchors, hanging judges, always dangerous, because no matter how good you tend to be, they're like, you don't look like you belong here, motherfucker. I got a lot of questions about why wisdom is bad whenever I went, no! It's because it handles conservatives. It's part of the conservative agenda. Keeping your heart high and your wisdom low, great idea. There are actions and attacks in this game that can raise lower heart or raise lower wisdom. You need to make sure your characters have strong heart at all times, or else you could run into the wrong opponent. Your wisdom could be sent over your heart, and you lose that person as a member of the Liberal Crime Squad. Person suddenly decides, fuck it, conservatism is a great idea. Screw you assholes. And you wouldn't want to lose a liberal like that. Other situations including brutal executions, not in regular combat. If, say, you've captured someone and decide to kill them, your liberals can lose heart that way too. But for these guys, I think I've got some wiggle room. That's why, even though I've been going, no, with the wisdom stuff, I mean, oh, whoop-de-doo. Seabass here has 4 wisdom and 30 heart. Gaining wisdom in this case, he's got a lot of fucking leeway. I think I'm good. To be fair, these characters are mutants. And not just mutants, but ridiculously statted mutants at that. If you were actually sticking to, say, non-mutant people, they would fall within a far more reasonable attribute block. In all the different professions here, like you have mutants here who have could have very high or very low attributes. You have like dancers who tend to have high agility and health, same with black belts. You've got some professional thieves hiding around among the clerks and shit. Different professions that you can recruit in the game. Hippies have really high heart. They all have different attribute levels, and they can start with some certain amount of skills and bonuses to them, straight out of the box. So if you actually want to diversify your group, not, I guess you could say, cheese the game like me, just learn the different profession types, and whatever you go to recruit, go from there. Obviously, computer programmers tend to start with high computer skill. Authors would have high writing skill. Stuff like that. Let's see. What else do I feel like I need to cover? I've already covered how to win the game itself. For us, we have to make everything elite liberal. President and his staff, House and Senate, all the laws, and the entire Supreme Court. Earlier versions, insanely hard to do. 4.04 and in some prior versions, there are special little things that you can encounter if the populace is extremely liberal, which circumvent waiting for 50, 60, 70, 80 years. There are some changes in names that will occur if the game gets to 2100 AD. Just some flavor text. It's not a big deal. But it does exist, because the game can go on for a long time. Well, it used to. Now, you can finish with this game in like 3 in-game years. Let's see, what else do I need to discuss? That's really all I needed to explain in terms of like yeah, you guys are just primarily having questions about attributes, while wisdom was such a bad thing. So far we haven't encountered too much trouble. We haven't seen a siege yet. Certainly, I am growing. I have been aggravating the conservatives more and more, but I haven't pissed off anyone besides the government. I haven't pissed off intelligence headquarters, the Ministry of Love. I haven't pissed off the firemen headquarters, which governs people who publish things they're not supposed to, because free speech is arch conservative. I haven't pissed off the corporations. You can do those things, and they'll come looking for you. The Conservative Crime Squad, too, if they get an idea of where you are, and as they grow increasingly more desperate, as the country turns against them, they will get pissed, and they will just start fucking blitzkrieging your ass. I haven't super pissed off those guys, either. Because really, the populace at this point, they still hold them in high regard. They don't hold them in contempt. I haven't done anything about that. Or rather, they themselves haven't done anything about that. In previous versions, they used to self-destruct. They've become more effective now, but it used to be like, rampage, 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 and the people are like, you guys are terrible. Liberal Crime Squad can go on rampages too, but I haven't alienated the populace anywhere. If that ever happens, though, you'll see me make a fucking quick getaway. I guess another thing too, some folks have asked me, I think Babbies, it's Babbies and some numbers, had asked me about why I operate with such a small group here. You, for the most part, are not really limited. You could have hundreds of liberals, so long as you make sure that your characters who recruit have enough space to recruit. For example, Pariah can manage 12 recruits. It's probably because he's the founder, so he gets to have some extras there. Whereas these other folks can handle 6 recruits. You know, you can just branch off there, make giant hierarchies. You don't even have to commit crimes. You could go through this entire game without committing a single crime. You could go through this entire game without committing an act of violence. The Liberal Pacifism Squad. The liberal, peace-loving, hippie people. Whatever. It can be done. You can just have teams of folks who collect donations. You can have teams of folks who make tie-dye t-shirts. Teams of folks who sell portraits. Teams of folks who write the newspapers, who handle the Liberal Guardian. Folks who handle tailoring to make expensive suits so you can keep having the money come in. Hundreds! And I don't like doing that. It's just way too much management and shit, particularly if you ever get into sieges, which tends to be, that completely fucks up your whole squad organization. After you've handled the siege, you have to remake all of your squads. It's a pain in the ass, is what it is. Besides, I don't need to handle that many people. I'm good, really, with this. I might recruit some more folks later. I do know that I at least have to show off liberal doggies. Gotta get around to that. Also, I need to raid the fireman headquarters sometime to show you all flamethrowers. Like I said, first series, I obviously dismantled the game. Had some bumps along the way, but I can easily beat this. It's not a problem. And other than that whole press F to fight soldier thing I had at the start of this Reborn, this is for fun. Show you folks stuff you can do in the game, if for whatever reason you just can't seem to get a handle on the game. Also, another thing, I don't fucking understand heat mechanic at all. I don't. I've been playing this game since before it was open sourced. Way back when. And through all this crap, and I still don't understand how heat works. You could say The higher your heat is, the worse off you are. I've gotten heat numbers in the 2000s and 3000s before I've been raided. And as your characters gain more notoriety, as you commit more terrible and heinous deeds like treason and terrorism and gain like 500 counts of murder on your criminal record, heat will follow you like a plague no matter where you go. But heat's not the only determination on whether you get raided. And I had a question regarding that. It determines who you piss off. The government's only one of the groups that can raid you, but you can get raided by the intelligence headquarters, firemen, corporations, the CCS. It's not the only ones. All they need to do is identify you, they need some time to plan a raid, and they'll fucking go after you. You can test that out with, if you, the term for that, save scumming. If you make sure you preserve your save file, if you or if you have sleepers that identify incoming raids. If you move out of a location before the day they're scheduled to hit you with a raid, then it won't happen. Or it does happen, and obviously you aren't there. But they'll lock onto you again, and they'll follow you wherever you go. You can stop the government raids by closing down the police station. You can stop the Conservative Crime Squad raids, obviously, by getting rid of the CCS. Still, your mileage may vary. But there you go. Heat mechanics. You got me. All I know is, don't get heat. We have a lot of secrecy right now, so the fact that I have heat could lead me on the path to devastation and destruction. But for me, or the Conservatives, who knows? Also, for those of you just unfamiliar with 4.04, or for those of you who just watched my first video series and saw how easily I handled sieges, sieges are harder. Now, not too terribly, but the folks who siege you, they actually do more shit. It's true, and perhaps we'll get around to seeing that. Alright, I think that was a good enough talk. Hopefully that explained more about just like the mechanics of attributes and skills and just some stuff that you'll see upcoming in the series, providing that I don't die in a fire, which could happen at any given video. That's another reason why I like keeping the squad small. It's, I bring around the entire team with me, and we could all die, and this game could end at any given moment. Makes for fun and excitement. Although I might get upset if we all die, particularly if it's due to human error. I'll have to wait until next time, folks. If you have any more questions, feel free to leave them. Folks who know as much about the game, if not more about the game than me, do feel free to comb through these comments and answer their questions for them. Stuff like that. But yeah, I'll see you folks later. Toodaloo.